Hello and welcome to the Lib Dem podcast. Welcome to our second video episode. This one is all about canvassing. We have had requests in the past, and we've had more requests about kind of a canvassing guide, a 101 sort of guide to what we do right, what do we think we do wrong, what do the opposition do right, what do they do wrong. So this podcast is going to be some of the do's and don'ts from our experience, because we knock on a lot of doors, myself and you. You've even got an injury on your finger from a dog bite, so he's in the wars at the moment. But one thing we absolutely agree on is how important canvassing is.
Absolutely.
And so this is going to be an episode all about that. If you like this episode, feel free to listen to some of our older ones. They are all on your podcast library, wherever you get that, whether that's Acast, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, they're all on there. We're also, obviously, this is now on YouTube and on Facebook page. You can follow all Lib Dem podcast stuff on @LibDemPod on social media. You can follow Richard @Councillor Kemp on Twitter, and I'm across all social media at @JohnPotterLD. Feel free to contact us, do rate us, do like us, do subscribe so you don't miss an episode, because hopefully you enjoy this, what we're about to say. And if you don't,
we enjoy it.
Well, we enjoy it. So if you don't, we don't mind. We're just having a chat anyway. Right, canvassing.
Yeah.
Okay, why do we do it, Richard?
Well, there's a number of reasons, but I put them into two. First of all, people like to see you. There's no doubt about it. Because there is a feeling around, which is largely true, that no one goes round, no one does anything unless there's an election on. I'm not saying don't canvass at election time. The important thing about canvassing is you start it the day after the election, not the day before. I've been doing it for a long, long time now. And what I generally find is, even if people aren't going to vote for you, they're pleased that you've been. You've made the effort. So there's the purely face-to-face, particularly if you're the candidate or you're a councillor nearby. Oh, this is what you look like.
Yeah, that's right. And from my point of view, it's very important. If leaflets are important as well, and that's important to get out, but you will never get a better opportunity to put your argument across or people to know you personally. And it's a wonderful buffer. So if someone says, that Richard Kemp, he's the devil incarnate. He is absolutely awful. And
you've canvassed the mayor of Liverpool.
Yeah. but if they say, well, actually, I've met Richard Kemp.
Yeah.
He not only did he knock on my door, seem very pleasant, want to know if I had any issues, but he seemed like a decent bloke. Yeah. And that blunts that attack completely.
Yeah. People find it very hard to be personal if they've met you and think she is a reasonable person. And that is important, that blunting of opposition to you. And I suppose, look, once a year, I get someone who's really aggressive, slams the door in the face, why don't you F off, F in,
I mean, some of the concerns raised by particular new campaigners is they think they're going to get that lots. And I would say, and you said once a year, I would say even less than that for myself. The amount of people in the 10 years I've probably full on been going campaigning, like doing something every week, I can probably count on one hand those really obnoxious people.
Yes, there's different levels of obnoxiousness. Yes. And some people are just very firm. I'm sorry, I'd never vote Liberal Democrat. Thank you for calling. And the door shuts.
And some people, do it in a... I remember I was coaching with one of our new canvassers, and he knocked on the door, and I was a little bit further out, giving him a bit of space to see how he did. And I saw the owner look out the window, realise it was someone at the door, went and picked up a phone, and I went to the door and went, sorry, I'm on phone. So most people don't want to be rude, is the kind of the motto of that. Yeah. They are genuinely happy to see someone trying to make an effort.
Yes, and that's why it's important to do it outside the election time.
Yes.
Because any aggression you might get does hype up in April if there's a May election. So you do it to present the friendly face of the party, because if you remember from a previous broadcast, I've said there are two products. We've got people and our policies. But then we want two types of information on the doorstep. The first is what's going on, what's your concern? Now that could be dog crap on the pavement or street lights, or it could be a much bigger thing. My mother is having trouble with getting this, that or the other. What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? And the most important thing to do then is actually listen.
Yeah.
And always when you're canvassing, try and do more listening than talking, because you come over as a preacher. We're not, with all due respect, the Jehovah's Witnesses when we go around. There's no sell from it. So we want the soft stuff.
Yeah.
What interests you? That will tell us what we put in the leaflets.
Yeah.
This is basic market research, folks. In that way, it's what companies do.
We've talked in our campaigning 101 why we do this kind of research is because actually it's about data.
Yeah.
It's about, if you're a marketing company, you want to know what your audience wants, how effective your message is.
Yeah.
And politics is no different.
Yeah.
So let's have a go then, Richard.
Because just go back to the other part. The other part of the data you want, though.
Sorry, yes.
You start with the soft stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah,
We'll have a go at that. But then you come back. How are they going to vote? Now, a surprising number of people will tell you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a lot volunteer it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
they just come out.
We don't even have to ask.
And they'll come out and say, bloody Remain, or the bloody Council, or bloody
Yeah.
And so even if they don't say I'm voting Labour or voting Liberal, if you use these, you know what the... Is that you?
So was I playing footsie with you? I do apologise.
No, it's the dog. I thought,
no, he's innocent this time.
Yeah. So you do know, and sometimes you don't need to ask how they're going to vote because it is blindingly obvious. And sometimes you think, he said they're going to vote Liberal Democrat, and I'm not altogether sure.
We are going to do examples of what Richard uses and how I use canvassing as well, our techniques. I mean, there isn't a one size fits all. If someone, like say, gets to the door and just says, no, thank you, and you're not going to be able to do your patter, so that's just the way it is.
Put them down as anti, or make an intelligent guess as to whether which of the other parties they might vote for.
And you have to sometimes accept the fact, no matter what you do, you will not get information out of them.
Yeah, and you say, no problem, thank you.
Right.
Whatever happens on the doorstep, they must think you are a reasonable person, even if they are being unreasonable. Yeah. You've got to leave a reasonable impression. Oh, they're okay, those Lib Dems. I met one the other day, in the pub. And
even when you do get someone who is a bit more assertive or is anti-Lib Dem, always respond politely.
Yeah.
Because if you get your bristles up and suddenly you're assertive as well, what outcome are you hoping to get from that? You're not going to convince them anymore to vote for you. You're only probably going to annoy them a little bit more, and you might encourage them to vote for the opposition when they might not vote at all.
Best thing to do is anyone's being antagonistic, say, sorry, we're obviously going to disagree. Thank you very much. Sorry I've wasted your time, and you're down the path.
And you can always offer them something. So I always say at the end, regardless of anything that's happening nationally or locally, if you have an issue, my job, regardless of politics, is to be there for you.
Yeah.
So
and here's the piece of paper.
Yeah.
So important thing: never go out without your mobile phone because that's got your Connect on.
Yeah.
And details. And the other thing is always have a handover leaflet.
Yes.
Put this in your kitchen drawer.
Yeah. It's like, because you're only going to get about 30% of people in on average.
If you're lucky.
If you go at weekends, that will drop down to maybe around 20%.
Yeah.
So having, sometimes they're called canvas cards, sometimes they're called out slips. Yeah. Having one of them is essential, just because it's not a wasted door then. Even if there's nobody home, you've left it. And it will have your contact deal. There's, again, that ending I just gave you when I said, if you have any problems, contact me. If you've got a leaflet with yours and your fellow campaigners, councillors' details on, say, look, there's all my details, contact me anytime.
Yeah.
It's a very nice way of ending it.
We took it a bit further in a ward called Cressington last year, where we went up from 750 behind to losing just by 70.
Oh.
It was tragic. But what we did was, we know that we can only do, if there's 3 or 4 of us, you can't do more than 120 doors.
No, yeah.
So we do a leaflet, do a survey.
In a session, you mean?
In a session, yeah. So we do 120, it depends how many we think we're going to get out, but about 30 houses is about all that an individual can do, particularly if it's cold.
Yeah.
And it's a survey. We'll be calling around between 11 and 12 on Saturday. Please fill this in. If you're out, leave it sticking through the letterbox, and otherwise give it to us. And so let's say we put out 150. We'll probably get 4 or 5 through the letterbox, and then we'll get 2 or 3 more on the doorstep.
Yeah.
Most of them will have forgotten about it, but it's had Richard Kemp on it
Yeah.
3 times. Then you give them a handover leaflet. Richard Kemp will be delighted to help you if you've got any problems. Email.
And the follow-up to canvassing is very important. So that's the kind of knock and drop surveys is what you're talking about there. So for us in Preston, we don't do surveys, so we'll do kind of traditional canvassing, just knocking on doors with an out slip if they're not there. But you need to give a slip to everyone. Because actually the rules now for GDPR mean that we want permission to use that data we are collecting. So giving an out slip which will have the disclaimer on it saying we will use information provided to us. They don't have to tick boxes like they would do if they were giving an email address or anything like that. But it is now a part of the campaigning process that you should do that. And it's good practice anyway. Give them a bit of leaflet. But
then 3 days later, again, we drop another leaflet through the door of those 120, 150, even if we haven't had anything to take up. Thank you for being so nice to us. If you have got a problem, we couldn't do it, here's how to get hold of it.
That's something I don't do in Preston, actually, but that's quite nice.
Well, the important thing about that is that within the space of 10 days, they've had 3 leaflets with the name on 3 or 4 times, and we find that is very reinforcing of the local name of the local candidate.
So we in Preston do it, like I say, we don't do that, although I quite like that. We have 2 options. So if we have canvassed, got an issue, say a broken paving stone, something like that, we then do a street letter to everyone in saying that, really nice to speak to residents the other night, we've already reported this, blah, blah, and that response is incredible because we usually mail merge them because it's not very difficult to do, and so it has a name and address. The other way of doing it is if you spot, we'll use a broken paving flag again, broken paving flag, you've already spotted it, not canvassing, this is just doing your ward walks or wandering about, whatever you do, you report it, put a letter out, and then canvass either that night or the day or so afterwards. Fantastic, because you've already kind of
awakened them.
And you've already got through that first barrier saying, and they'll go, oh, I got your letter the other night, and suddenly you're
into goodness, someone's done something about that.
But you've got through that first awkward exchange. What are you here for? Well, actually, they're already half engaged with it.
But you know it's going through their mind.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So, let's do an example then, Richard. So
hang on.
Oh, we've got more information.
Well, there is, because when you say we've got more information, let's use the information that we've got.
Yes.
So, for example, you might know, we gave the answer, cracked paving stone, which possibly I wouldn't use, but we can go on to Connect and see whether we've canvassed it before, whether they've responded to a petition before, whether they're Remainers. So as I go up the drive, I always think, what was the last time we contacted them? What did they say?
And we do that. So so anyone who doesn't know the Minivan app on your phone, it is very powerful. Lists all the times you've visited this house in the past, what questions they've answered, how they've answered it, what kind of political persuasion, but also any notes if they've answered any petition. So if you've done a petition about something, a library closure or whatever else, that can all be fed in. That will all come up as well. So again, sometimes, and that's really important when you're knocking on doors. So I'll knock on someone's door and I'll have a quick look to see what they say. And this is on a voter data kind of information. I'll say, okay, this guy's Tory leaning, or this guy is between us and Labour, or Green, or something like that. And so, again, it's about marketing, and you tailor your approach depending on what they are.
Absolutely.
So I've had success in turning kind of solid Tories into pretty much voting Lib Dem locally permanently now. And so I'm not going to bombard him with with kind of pro-Labourish sort of policies, because I know that's just going to turn him off.
And if you haven't got that information, use your nose.
There
are some areas where it is more likely they'll be Tory than Labour. So you decide what to go in. And there's some times where you haven't got information about a local issue, but you know it's an issue. So if I'm going around Coldstones Park in Liverpool, my own ward, we know that that's been for years a big issue.
Yeah.
So the second question, the first question is always the same, and we can go into that.
Yeah.
The second question I'd make round there is, isn't it marvellous that we've saved Coldstones Park? Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Councillor.
yeah. Yeah.
So you find a way of creating that empathy between you and the person on the doorstep.
And it's about making them, if you go out there and it's just about an election, what are you giving them? And that's why we've talked about how important it is to canvass outside of an election time. It is, and the rule of thumb I was always told was that a door done before Christmas is worth 2 after.
Yeah.
Because people, and I use it now, I use it in my banter. I'll say, there's no election coming up, but we're the only ones you're seeing doing this work.
Well, in my ward, we always start off by saying, I'm on my annual non-election visit.
Yeah.
Now, in fact, I said we don't get round everywhere. We try to get round every house every year when there's no election on.
Yeah.
And people really like that. And in fact, we don't get to every house. We probably get to half of them during the course of the year.
And if you are in a position where you think, oh my good grief. So in Preston, we've had our wards made larger. So there's now roughly around 3,500 to 4,000 houses per ward in Preston. And you're thinking, oh good grief, there's no way I'm going to do that many. Think about, you have 2 options. Either if your goal is to win just a polling district because you're starting from scratch, then concentrate in that polling district. If you think there's a possibility you might win the ward, and you've got 4 polling districts as part of it, do a canvass session in each of those polling districts. Get a feel for the issue in that polling district, and then when you do your focus leaflet, they'll see, crikey, he's been everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so particularly in my patch where my ward now my ward is made up of 4 polling districts, all of which were in different wards until they were realigned. So, and every one of them has had slightly different. One had Tory councillors previously, one had Labour councillors previously, and 2 had Lib Dem councillors, but different Lib Dem councillors. Yeah. So making sure you appear to be across your whole ward is a really useful thing
if you think you can.
If you can do it. If you are starting from scratch.
But otherwise, do the 1 or 2 polling districts.
Right. Because we've talked about this in the past about having goals.
Yeah.
And if you are starting from scratch, this ward has never been won before, hasn't been canvassed ever, having a goal of winning one polling district is a really good way of getting into it.
And then you move next door, because some of the people, the mums will have been at the same school, or the GP's practices, so you spread out. But my first question is always... Okay,
so let's do this properly. Okay,
this is what we were going to do about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know, but this is really important, because it is one of the key things to winning, of being electorally successful. So,
absolutely.
Right, so this is take 1, Councillor Kemp at the door.
Hello. Oh, sorry. I woke the dog up. So always try not to wake the dog up. This is real life, folks. We don't charge extra for having the dog.
Right, okay, so knock on the door.
Knock on the door. It's Mr. Potter, isn't it?
Yes. Hi, how do you do?
Right, well, can I introduce myself? I'm Councillor Richard Kemp, one of your local councillors. I'm calling around on my annual visit when there's no election on to say, have you got any complaints, queries, questions or problems about your neighbourhood, your family, or what the City Council's doing?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. That's true.
Yeah, that's great, because if we told you too much in advance, you give us a long list. But I just wonder if we could talk about Coldstones Park.
Yeah.
Do you use Coldstones Park a lot?
Yeah. Me and my kids go down there regularly. Yeah.
So you'll know the problems we've had where the council are trying to sell off 13 acres of it. So what do you think of that? Then?
It's disgraceful, isn't it? It's disgraceful. The parks are important.
Yeah, and so what does that mean to you about what the council's doing? Are you happy with other things in the council?
I mean, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it, in Liverpool Council? There's all sorts going on with, allegations of racism and all sorts.
Well, indeed. I mean, they've had one councillor had to resign for racist reasons, one for sexist reasons. The local MPs had to resign because of anti-Semitism. So there's all sorts of problems there, which really need resolving. And one of the things that worries me most in Liverpool is that they spend more time fighting each other than they do fighting the Tories.
So, okay, right, yeah. Okay.
But then, of course, you have to use your nose as to where the conversation goes.
And if that was quite long.
It's longer than it would normally be.
And so, actually, if you start to see them starting to, it's starting to fidget or something like that.
Yeah.
So let's carry on with that case.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Coldstones Park, and now we're going to the next
Well,
bit.
by now I've got an idea, of course,
Yeah.
about what you're thinking about Liverpool Council if it's
Yeah.
a local election. I said, well, so my next question, leading quite quickly to the point then, is so, as you know, next May it's going to be me or Joe Anderson standing. Yeah. How are you thinking of voting?
Well, tell you the truth, I've always been a Labour guy.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling a little bit annoyed and disgruntled with it all, really. You know, Brexit's doing me head in.
Yeah.
Brexit, I just don't understand anything, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to keep you tonight because it's a cold, miserable night, but I do want you to do two things. The first is to look at all the literature we put through your door, and secondly, you now know where I am, and I'll leave you with this leaflet. Keep it in your kitchen drawer just in case you need me at any time. I'm here to be used or abused. You get in touch with me, won't you?
Thanks very much, mate. Cheers.
And then I leave.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't ask whether he was going to vote Lib Dem or not, because what I'd got was a feeling is that I could put him down as a probable because I'd want to work on him.
Yeah.
Now in other cases, it's always difficult to say. I just said, no, you're going to vote for me then.
Now, and one of the key things, I mean, I deliberately put it in there, was he said which way he would be between you and, the Lib Dems and Labour.
Yeah.
Now, that is one of the key areas because you want to. We've talked about in the past how many people are natural Lib Dems, but actually a lot of people also have inclinations towards maybe being Tory or Labour. And again, understand, even if they said, I'm probably going to vote for you, you want to know who you're up against, really, for that
vote.
That's
right, yeah.
And
so that means you tailor your leaflets accordingly.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, you can ask questions, and this is the one I use every now and again, where I'll say, is there any party you wouldn't vote for? And that's great. And it's great. I mean, Liverpool's great
because there's only two parties.
Yeah. But most areas there'll be a thing.
You're right.
And they'll go, well, I'll never vote for bloody Corbyn.
Yeah.
And so you know kind of he would.
Although that might give you
be a lot of
information.
okay, I'd never vote for a Tory ever.
Yeah.
And so you know then who you're primarily against to win that gentleman's vote.
And so when you then decide, as you get nearer the election, where are you going to concentrate your vote? And you intelligently mine the data and say, look, we've got enough Lib Dems, definite and possible. I'm just going to concentrate on them for 3 weeks.
And this was exactly the same. My ward of Cadley was the strongest ward in Preston for us, even under the new boundaries. And come polling day, we knew we had the votes in the bag. Unless our canvassing was really off, we knew we had enough Ds and Ps, definites and probables, to win that. And so we did a little bit of work on it in the morning. As soon as we were confident enough that our vote was going out, there wasn't some dramatic drop, we flooded into one of our other areas and we took that ward for the first time.
Absolutely.
And that's key.
But it's not only on the day, that is important. So we'd look at the data. So in my ward is like yours, we've got about 5,000 definites and probables for local elections. We've got 2,800 of them out. We need, if you get 2,000 votes in my ward, you've won easily.
Yours are bigger. Your metropolitan are larger than mine. So we, in Preston, it's about 1,000 votes to win. Yeah. But you know you've got it.
Well, 2,000 votes would guarantee almost any ward, never mind winning it.
Yeah.
There were times in the past, before 2010, and we're coming back to that the Labour Party never got more than 700 votes. And I'd have more than that postal votes in the bag.
And a key thing about this is, what Richard was saying is you'd have an idea before polling day. You've been canvassing, hopefully, for a year.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for a year.
People recognise you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So can we do my version now? So I'll do mine. So I'll knock.
I don't think I've ever been canvassed.
Okay.
They avoid me.
Your reputation precedes you. Okay, so I'm going to knock on your door.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Kemp.
It is, yes.
I'm Councillor John Potter. I'm part of the local Lib Dem team. We're just doing our annual kind of rounds to check if everything's all right, if there's any issues or problems you want to report to us.
Well, actually, I'm very pleased to see you, but I'm quite happy living here.
Well, that's all right.
I'll go and ask the wife, who probably knows some things, but by and large, we think you're doing a good job, and we're satisfied.
Brilliant. And do you mind if I ask a question about, we've had a lot of elections recently, so do you normally vote in local elections?
Yes, I can't say I always vote, but normally I try and get along if I'm not ill or something happens at the last minute.
Well, if you ever are ill, don't forget, or you're going away on holiday, there are postal votes. So if you'd like us to get you the form so you can sign up for your postal vote, more than happy to do that.
Can anyone have a postal vote for the whole time?
Anyone can have a vote. I do it by post because you can imagine on
you're a bit
election
busy
day
on
I'm
election
quite busy.
day, yeah.
But do you mind if I ask you
Yeah.
how you normally vote in local elections?
Well, certainly in local elections, I normally vote for you lot.
Oh, thank you.
But I have to say that isn't always true about national elections. And in national elections, it depends. It's either you or the Tory party.
Okay, well that's right. I mean, we have a philosophy, regardless how people vote or even if they vote, our job's to be there for you. So if you have any problems whatsoever, all my details are on this leaflet, along with my councillor colleagues and other campaigners.
Yeah.
Give us a bell. We are more than happy to come round, help you out in any way we can.
Well, you have helped me in the past, so I'm sure that will be true. So, yeah, thanks very much for that.
Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I mean, that is a very bog standard one where no issues. Because and this is I do that question. Do you normally vote in local elections? I know this already.
Yeah, because
I've got the marked register.
Vote, yeah.
But the way
do you know what a marked register is, everyone?
I think we have mentioned it before.
Yeah, we have.
A marked register is you don't know how people vote, but you do know if they vote. So they might spoil the ballot paper for all we know, but we do know they have gone to the polling station and they have picked up a ballot paper.
Yeah.
Is what we know. So we know and again, for postal voters,
Mr. Kemp was lying then, was he?
And even though, and you do get people who are generally polite. People sometimes don't like to say they don't vote, but actually, you'll get, yours was actually almost a perfect example. You get people say, general elections, I vote. Locals, maybe not. And actually, it's not everyone's priority list, is an answer I sometimes give to that. But you do know how they vote. But I use that as easing into the political question, because I'm not asking them straight away. And I've seen Labour Party councillors and campaigners just go up to the door. Hello, I'm X, Y, and Z.
How are you voting?
Do you mind do you know if you're going to vote for me?
Yeah.
And just straight away, no foreplay, just straight into it. And so I use that to ease them into the politics of this round, and it's worked very well.
And if you have an issue, you'd have put that in instead.
Yes,
if you'd have known there was a Coldstones Park or this was happening or that happening, you'd start with that.
Because sometimes there isn't a big issue, a particular, and sometimes. I mean, part of my ward has some new housing developments where there's no issues have come up. It's not like a drainage gutter's just collapsed or something like that that they might be bothered about. I mean, and I would say the majority of people don't come back to you with issues.
No, I think it's my mythical 150 again. Yeah. We probably get issues out of 3 or 4 of them.
But that's enough for you to do that next stage.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But those people, and I remember there's this chap who is now no longer in my ward because my ward changed, who, like I say, a few years ago was a rock solid Tory. Absolutely nothing but Tory. And then I was elected in 2010. And then I was up for election again in 2012 because of the by-election. And so 2012, he was still rock solid. By 2016, he was wobbling. And then by 2017, he was solid. He was voting no other way than Lib Dem.
And you do wear them down. And you wear them down first in local elections. Yeah. Because they aren't as political. Yeah. They shouldn't be as political. And they're not seen as being as political.
Now, one thing I am not an expert on is when you have... Because for me, again, the likelihood of me winning a parliamentary seat is not high.
You get the peerage instead.
Yeah, that's right. But particularly in the current climate, we know we're not a target seat here in Preston. Yeah. So I can focus remorselessly on local issues.
Yeah.
I can just say we are the local champions.
Yeah.
How you deal with that in a key target seat is because you have to then deal with general election issues. If Lib Dems have an unpopular policy nationally with this particular person, Brexit is a classic one.
Yeah.
So I can still get Brexiteers to vote Lib Dem locally.
Yeah.
Because I can almost say, I can very easily just say, that's an election for another time. Yeah. This is about who's the best person.
So at Brexiteers in Liverpool, we say, whatever you vote with that is, it's either us or Joe Anderson's lot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And so, but I mean, how you deal that in a target seat is a bit more tricky.
Well, I think there's an element in which you can gross up the problems you see.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go around here, there's potholes in the roads.
Yeah.
Well, do you know we need another £10 billion to fix the roads?
Yeah, that's right.
So you start to work that up. Now, of course, as your MP, my job would be to get the money so that your council and your local councillors could spend it better.
Yeah.
You've got problems with the social care for your gran. I can take that up as a councillor at this level, but we need to change the system, and that's what I want to do nationally. So it's only the same in a way. You listen to the local issue, but then work out how you would tackle that as a member of Parliament. But you start in the same place, their issue.
And if you can, I mean, Richard's example bolted on one about a local park. So one of the key successes we had in winning a Conservative ward in May that we won for the first time in decades was the fact we proposed like a no-call calling zone because there's a lot of elderly people in there. And so going to the door saying, we are championing this cause.
You mean you were cold calling in an area you want to be a cold calling?
Well, yes, that irony isn't lost on us. But on the good thing about cold calling zones, it doesn't apply to religious or political organisations.
Right.
So I got around that. But the only way that could happen is if we get enough residents to support it.
Yeah.
And so, but actually, whether it's cold calling, a park, a library closure, whatever, if you've got a campaign as well, again, it eases you into the conversation.
Yeah.
In a way that's non-political.
If they've supported a petition for you, you're halfway there at the local level to getting a vote from them.
Absolutely.
And it's chicken and egg, is it? Do we do it because it gets us votes? Or do we get votes because we do it? Yeah. I'd like to say as a councillor, I do it because that's what a councillor should do.
Yeah.
And then people do reward me by saying, I don't agree with them on everything, but bloody hell.
And that's the thing, I mean, I was elected twice during coalition, and the way we were able to build up that wall was again by knocking on doors. Yeah. And what you're saying there, it makes you into a better councillor as well.
Yeah, because you're better informed.
Because you're better informed. You are, again, I'm a very street level councillor. I understand that, where, as in yourself, Richard, you are very good on the street, but because you've been a leader of an opposition party, or basically a two-party kind of system in Liverpool, you have had to be a very much town hall focused councillor as well. Now, I would say I do more of my work at the street level, but I'm not saying you don't. But the point is, I think being a street level councillor or campaigner before you even get elected is very useful because you're getting the information straight from the horse's mouth. And so I know what the issues are. I can then take them to council, respond on them, and then it does make me a better councillor as well. Absolutely.
But that's not, of course, the only way to get that information. I was joking with you before about if I go to the Liverpool Philharmonic, I ought to take my minivan because half the audience come from the wards that we're really fighting hard in Liverpool. And just standing in the lobby, hello, nice to see you. You go and do things. And I go to the Philharmonic because I like going to the Philharmonic. Anything else is a bonus. I go to visit all our churches regularly and church fairs. And yes, you get votes for it, but I believe that's part of the listening role of being a councillor.
I went and did a school talk the other day.
I'm doing one next week.
And I absolutely love doing school talks. And I've been invited back now to do a kind of an award ceremony sort of thing as well. And it's brilliant. And that was just me spending half an hour with an assembly full of kids, asking them what a councillor does, why they should do it and stuff like that. And actually, it was pretty life affirming as well, because I gave them a scenario that they'd only had money to fix one of these issues. And one of them was to help themselves, kind of thing, like fix the street outside where the school is, or help the homeless, or blah blah. And they chose help the homeless. But it's things like, going on to what you say, like, so I go to the rugby every week, so I'm off to Preston Grasshoppers tomorrow, and I'll get people there who go, hello councillor, and things like that. And
I was in a pub last night, and I wouldn't have gone if I hadn't known there was a band there, because we went to talk to someone. There was a band there, and two of the band came over and said, hello, councillor.
But that's not, it's not forced, is the point we're trying to make.
It's a pub I go to.
We don't go there with a rosette on, or anything like, or any sort of insignia, or anything like that. We go in, just being ourselves. But because we are based in the community, That's when people and the opposition again. If they turn up in April, having not done diddly squat, and you've been in that community for, in your case, 30 years or whatever it is, they are not going to beat you in 4 weeks.
That's right. The difference between being a Lib Dem councillor and I hope between being a member of the other parties is that we live, eat and breathe our wards.
Yeah.
I'm a Liberal because I want to do something for Church Ward.
Yeah.
That's where I start. I have to do something for Church Ward. I've got to do something in the city.
Yeah.
So I go to the town hall. The town hall can't do everything. I want to get people elected to Parliament, but my politics goes that way. But too many
That's
of the
upwards
other
for those people listening.
Upwards. Yes, of course. I was doing a very good gesticulation for the cameras then. But if you're driving the car, imagine it going upwards. Yeah. So we start at the bottom, and philosophically, so that's practically.
Yeah.
Philosophically, I don't believe that as a councillor or an MP, a Prime Minister for that matter, has any power of their own.
No.
They only get the bits that have been lent to them by the people who voted for them.
That's right.
So one of the lines that I often use in election, in canvassing, about why am I there?
Yeah.
So what am I supposed to say in the town hall if I haven't come and used? He says, pointing at his ears.
Yeah, that's right.
I use my ears, and people say, "Oh yeah, that's right," and that's what they want to hear.
And it goes
but I believe it.
And it goes back to something. You are not the council's representative to Church Ward. You are the Church Ward representative to that council.
And anywhere else that the Church Ward residents are having problems.
That's right. Well, I've quite enjoyed that. That's quite good. And I hope people who do get nervous about canvassing or have no idea where to start actually will find it is actually. I mean. Maybe we're weird. It's being commented on, but I really enjoy canvassing. It's actually my favourite part of being a councillor.
It depends what the weather's like.
Right, yeah. But actually going out there, speaking to residents, it's not scary. It's generally very, very positive. Even if they don't vote for you, they're generally very polite. And actually,
thanks for coming.
Yeah, and they are. And when you do get casework, one thing we did say is you might not be able to fix everything they want.
And tell them.
But actually. Trying to or being interested in wanting to is enough to actually people say you will be doing more than what the opposition is doing by doing that.
And if they raise a problem which you really think you can't deal with, you tell them on the doorstep, I'll have a go, but I really don't think I can do this. Okay. And they're delighted that you're going to have a go.
I've got one final question to you though. Okay, so when you canvass as much as we do, there are some odd people out there. There are people who will
they're normally on the canvassing team.
Yes, that's right. But every canvasser and every councillor and every campaigner will go, "Oh, Mrs. Such and Such, yes, don't knock after 7 o'clock," or something like that. And you do get people who say stuff. I'm going to say, I was canvassing. I think it was my 2012 election. And this guy said, and he went, yes, I always vote Lib Dem, you'll always get my vote, but we've got to get ready. And I went, okay, ready for what? He said, the coming war between us and Islam. And I just thought, wow. Okay. And it's that point where you have a choice at that point. Do you confront, or do you just think, just let him be what he is going to be? And it can sometimes be difficult because I think I'm quite bullish. If someone said something completely outrageous, I would generally say, no, sorry, look, I completely disagree. Yeah. But it's a difficult one. So how do you deal with that? Well, when someone says so it doesn't have to be. That was obviously very overtly racist.
Yes, which in some ways that isn't a good example, because then I would just, frankly, if someone comes up with a racist or sexist comment, I just say, even no matter how much I want to win, are you sure you're voting for the right party? But for other matters, I might use the it's only a local election defence.
Brexit being a classic one at the moment.
But what you don't want to do is to spend 10 minutes arguing with someone who probably thinks they know more about it than you do, and may actually know more about it. What's the position on the Sinai Peninsula or something like that? It's not worth the effort.
And that's what I say.
And next year, you don't knock at that door.
And so there's a particular lady who was part of my ward who would keep canvassers there for 20 minutes or so complaining about this and she'll never vote for you
Yeah.
anyway. So I say to my new councillor, don't do Mrs X.
Yeah.
She's not going to vote for you. She has no interest in local
She's
issues.
lonely, perhaps, sometimes. I feel sorry
Yeah.
for them. Some people, I'll give them 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's not,
'cause,
I mean, if they're lonely, that's like...
particularly outside the election
Yeah,
time, I've got a bit more time.
And you don't want to be absolutely cut off. I mean, if someone's got a complex issue,
Yeah.
you want to spend a decent amount of time with them. But sometimes the best time to do it isn't during the canvas session, is to say, look, I've got colleagues out with me right now. I'll take your deals. Can I come and visit you during the week? And actually, we can have a proper sit down and talk about
if it's
this
something
issue.
you really think they need help with.
Yeah.
But again, how many times does that happen?
Very rarely.
3 or 4 times in the course of a year's canvassing.
But if you do get someone who is awkward in the sense of they have a view you don't agree with, and like I say, Brexit is an obvious one, or just say, we had one who said he was not going to vote for us anyway, but actually he said, you know what, isn't it time we brought back hanging? And at that point,
you just say, no.
Yeah, I'm afraid I just disagree. You know, it's not so much. And if you want,
and you could go into the Swedish model of why it doesn't
work.
work.
Yeah, and countries that do have capital punishment don't have less crime and all the rest of it. But actually, you are not going to win that round. The more awkward one is if they say they are going to vote for you, but what's your opinion on such and such? And what I always say to my comments is just be honest.
Yeah.
You can say to them, look, I appreciate if you vote for us, but this is my position. Immigration's a classic one where I'll say, look, I believe immigration's a good thing for this country. I understand if you disagree with me, but actually that's what I believe.
But even there, you see, you can have a nuanced position.
Yeah.
Because if people say there are too many immigrants, in parts of Liverpool there are. Because of the way the immigration system works. And I've argued this in something in the House of Commons. Yeah. How dare people say that? You don't come to these streets in Picton Ward, which are now being flooded with Roma people. And how many Romas are in Henley-on-Thames?
Yeah. But and again, we're getting into the nuance here, but that would be it's not... you know,
but always polite.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that it's not the fact that the immigrants are the problem. It's the fact that
it's the system.
The area hasn't been given the resources to deal with those ones.
Yeah.
And obviously, and again, you look into the facts that immigrants put in more than they take out.
Yeah.
So it's the fact how we are using that more is the problem.
Indeed.
But, so that's,
we're in agreement.
We're in agreement. Good grief.
Okay. And do you know what we haven't mentioned?
Yes.
Beer.
Beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm asking you to get me one.
Well, there's one in the fridge.
There you go. But it's always nice, not every time, finish your session, go and have a beer or a cup of tea. Yeah. Get the team together. Just something to look forward to.
Have a chat about it, because if you do get the awkward buggers, then actually having a laugh about it afterwards, going, oh my God, did I get a rumman? And because me and Councillor Jewell, who's my colleague here in Preston, we did an area, and he must have got every nice person. I got some right ones that night. And I just thought, I had normally you don't get any, but I got 3 people saying, Lib Dems, traitors, whatever. And I just thought, good grief, what is wrong with these people? And actually he'd had a great evening full of lovely people. And so again, you kind of, you just laugh it off, and it kind of, right, you've done your bit, you've got your data.
It cauterises it, you move on.
You sync up your data, it's gone into the system, you've done your job, you're another step to winning. And that's canvassing 101, I would say.
So get out on the doorstep, folks. That's what we really
Don't be scared of it.
No.
But thank you very much for listening, for watching. We appreciate everything you do when you comment and when you like and when you subscribe. Please follow Richard on Twitter at Councillor Kemp. Follow myself on at John Potter LD. Follow everything to do with the Lib Dem Pod on at Lib Dem Pod. Feel free to email whatever you want, any questions, any topics. Thank you to the people who have sent us topics. We've had topics on all sorts, Richard. We've had topics asking if we talk about the history of the Lib Dems, international liberalism.
I think it's that because I've been around so long.
Yes, that's right. You are actually a part of it, so that's okay. About digital campaigning and all sorts. So all this stuff, once I'm back from Japan, we will look to try and get more guests on, from different parts of the country as well.
You're going to get Lisa Smart on again?
Well, we can't afford her. She's too expensive now. But we had a lovely comment from someone who messaged me on Twitter privately and just said, are you against a southerner coming on the podcast? I went, no, of course not. No.
Well, it's a bloody long drive. But then some of us think that south is Crewe, so it depends on your definition.
South is Liverpool. I'm sorry, like we've already established that Preston is the centre of not just the UK but the universe. No, but we are going to get it. We are going to figure out how we can get people to phone in so we can have good discussions with lots of different.
Could be like question time, this, isn't it? I'll wear a tie next time.
Only without the crazy audience. That's right. So thank you very, very much for watching or listening to us, and we'll be back soon for another podcast.